Hello, welcome back to ColdFire Productions.
And today we'd like to talk about anime subs versus anime dubs.
Now, when we say that, we're not technically saying that one is better than the other.
Because there's many cases when, there is a sub that's better than the dub, and then there's cases where a dub is better than the sub.
But what we're talking about is why you may like one over the other.
And this is what we want to, and we want to judge it based on a vocal performance. Like, most of the time when I hear someone favoring the dub or the sub, while there are many times to choose one or the other, most of the time it's based on performance. Other factors could be like, you're trying to learn Japanese, or someone you know is deaf, so you gotta use the subtitles is better. There's just a bunch of other reasons for choosing the sub, or, it's the original vision of the director and how it was meant to be voiced and whatnot.
So when it comes to judging a sub or a dub, who do you think is at a disadvantage?
Personally, in my opinion, I believe that the dub is at a disadvantage for a pretty interesting reason that I've found out. So, when you're listening to an English dub or a Japanese dub, when you're hearing the performance, you're hearing, one, the emotional performance, whether they're angry, they're sad, they're happy, what kind of emotional delivery they're giving. Two, you have the vocal quality, whether they sound, rough, or if they sound deep, or if they sound high-pitched, the tone of their voice. And then the third thing is the actual words and how they enunciate, emphasis, and things like that. But in English, because most of us are English speakers, when we hear an English dub, we'll recognize the emphasis of delivery and the words and how that is given. But in a Japanese, because we don't speak Japanese or don't understand Japanese, we don't know whether or not that was the proper delivery. So if I say to you, I like pie, if I say it, you notice where my emphasis is and how it's properly used, but you can't notice that if I said it in Japanese because, honestly, we don't know the language.
So the main reason why a person might like a sub over a dub and saying, man, these Japanese voice actors are so much better is because they don't know if they're being bad or not.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's also interesting because if that's true, then wouldn't that also mean that there are some people in Japan who watch some English dubbed voices of anime and then they think, wow, these English dub actors are amazing, but then when we watch it, we're like, man, these guys are garbage, or they're not good at all.
Yeah, and so I found out that in Japan, there's just as much bad voice actors as good voice actors as there are in America. It's just that we never notice it. Like, when was the last time you watched an anime in Japanese and you said to yourself, wow, his acting is bad?
Or her.
Or her. You can't really tell because you don't speak Japanese and you don't know how it should be said. The only thing you can judge is whether they sound like the character or if they're giving the proper emotion.
You can definitely bet that if you ask me who are some bad English voice actors for an English dub,
you can spot it straight away.
Yeah, straight away.
So the point is that when you're watching a dub, there's more a chance for you not to like it because of the
boundary. It is literally a language
boundary. Language boundary. Because of the language delivery, you could either like the language delivery or not like it, but in Japanese, you don't have a choice, so you're left in the dark. So you won't like it or dislike it because you can't tell. I mean, you could like it just because of the way Japanese sounds, but you'll never know.
So, but that doesn't mean necessarily that there is no such thing as one being better than the other. Of course, you're going to have your personal favorites, but what's important is that we recognize what is exactly coming into play when we're judging a Japanese sub over an English dub, and we have to be sure to consider all qualities, all characteristics, and everything that comes into play when we actually see a difference.
Right, and so it was just my opinion that when, choosing between one or the other, there's more of a tendency for people to notice, or for people to recognize a bad performance in the dub, and so it kind of gives dubs a disadvantage. I just figured that was worth pointing out.
Okay, so that was basically our opinion. So in shorter terms, don't be judgmental to dubbers because you don't know Japanese.
I mean, and it's not to hate on either. You can pick whichever one you want. It's just to point out that we don't speak Japanese. So to be a little more educated when you give your reasons why you prefer a sub or why you prefer the dub. That's just what I wanted to clarify.
Okay.
I think that wraps it up.
Yeah, I think that wraps it up. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next week.
Hopefully.
Yeah, like we said last time. peace out, whatever ending.